guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm going to continue today with another little story about when John and I lived on Dunbar Avenue there at Cedar Point in Bay St. Louis, Mississippi, and he was still the manager of the TGNY. I'm holding my head up because when I come down like this, I see this glare in my glasses. And I put these little mini lights back here just to kind of add some beauty. But if it's a glare for y'all and if it bothers you, let me know. I don't know how to get the glare out of my eyeglasses. But anyway, that summer of 1974, John and I decided that we wanted to take a little vacation to Pensacola, Florida. So I called Dort, and she did agree to keep Jason for one night on Saturday night. So we drove from Bay St. Louis to Lumberton, and we dropped Jason off at my mother and daddy's. And we went to Pensacola, Florida, and checked into the motel. And John and I went to the pool and everything. And here's John diving off the diving board into the pool. And we were having a pretty good time, except that I just had this gnawing and worry in my stomach, just fear and panic from leaving Jason with my mother, because she was such a bad mother to me. And he was only 18 months old, and I was just terrified that she would let something happen to him. So we didn't even spend the night there. I had to turn around and come back home and get my baby. I just did not feel comfortable. I don't know what I was thinking, trying to leave Jason with my mother. It just didn't work out. So anyway, that house there on Dunbar, one day there was a knock at the door, and there were two men at the door in suits and badges on. So I went and answered the door, and they were the FBI. Well, a little girl, about 10 years old, she had ridden her bicycle down the street there to a little convenience store to buy her some candy. And she never came home, and they found her bike on the side of the road, and they just never did find that little girl. It was so sad and so pitiful. And so the FBI, they were going to everybody's house, asking questions to see if anyone had seen anything that day, and of course I didn't. So that was just another little sad thing that happened when we lived in that house down there. Anyway, the house was real big, and it had these tiles on the floor and throughout the whole house. There was no wood at all in the house. And here's a picture of Jason on the floor feeding himself. But you can see the tile, and it was pretty shiny, and it did have to be waxed every now and then. And it just got to be more than I could handle. So I found out about this lady named Ida Mae. So I went to talk to her and everything, and Ida Mae was a black woman, and she was probably in her 50s, and she came out and looked at the house, and she told me that she would clean my house for $1.25 an hour. So we decided that she would, work for 4 hours, and I would pay her $5. So she came and she swept that whole house, and I believe she changed the sheets on my bed, and I put the laundry in and everything. And after she swept the house, she mopped it. And as each room, as she mopped it, she went back through and wrung the mop out in clean water, as dry as she could get it. And then she went back through and dried all the floors. I mean, she was such a hard worker. And of course, she didn't drive, so I had to go over and pick her up and then take her home. And to this day, I have so much guilt because I only paid her the $5. She worked so hard. And when I think about what little bit of money that she charged me, and I didn't even give her any more that I can ever remember. And I just have a lot of guilt and shame. I could have paid her $10. We weren't hurting for money. So I just hope that Ida Mae has forgiven me for that. Anyway, that summer we decided to take Jason down to the French Quarter in New Orleans. So we drove over there one Saturday, and So we started walking around, and I have some pictures. This is John and Jason. You can see the beautiful wrought iron at the top of this building. And this is actually one of the most photographed buildings in the French Quarter. It's called the La Branche House. And it was built by, I believe it was a sugar plantation owner back in the 1800s. And it's still, in the French Quarter, and it is being used as living space. It's been converted into condominiums. So, also when we were down there, we were on Bourbon Street, and this is another picture of Jason. And I believe this was outside the club that Al Hirt played in. Yeah, he was a famous jazz musician from New Orleans. And then this is me and Jason there on Bourbon Street. And of course, Jason heard the music and he was dancing and everything. So we had a lot of fun that day. So after we walked around the French Quarter, we decided to go eat there on Bourbon Street at Houlihan's. And it was a nice restaurant and everything. So we were sitting there at the bar, and I looked, and a little white mice ran across the floor. Oh, God. I mean, this was an expensive restaurant. It's not like the Houlihan chain that you see today. I mean, this was a very expensive restaurant right there on Bourbon Street. So that was not a very good thing. So I had to use the bathroom. So I left Jason with John, and I went to the bathroom and came back. And John was sitting there drinking his beer, and Jason was not there. John thought I had taken Jason with me, and Jason had followed me to the bathroom, but I never saw him come back there. Oh, you talk about the fear and panic in my stomach. Oh my God. I can still feel it to this day, how horrible and how scared I was. So I just ran back to the bathroom, and I found Jason. He was back there the whole time. I don't know how I missed him, but just thank God, that my child was okay. So there's not a lot of funny things in this little story, but it is another little story about my life. And when I pick up in my next video, I'm going to tell y'all about when John's mother and father came to have Christmas dinner with us, and what the Dr. and Mrs. Divinity brought with them to serve at the dinner table. So y'all just hit that like button and leave me comments. I love reading your comments. And I want to welcome all of my previous subscribers, and just so thankful that you continue to come back. And I'd like to welcome my new subscribers. And y'all just keep on coming back. Bye.